Hello everybody, this is NRK Academy and now we'll have in Crack IIT NEET Physics Vectors 1. The first unit, Vectors 1. So Vectors is a very interesting chapter and very powerful chapter. And the first unit, Vectors and Scalars. So first we must understand the difference between vectors and scalars. What are vectors? Vectors are those quantities that have both magnitude and direction. Scalars are those quantities that have only magnitude. Now this can be made more clear. Let us take two examples to make our concept of vectors totally clear. Let us take two quantities. One is force, the other is temperature. One is force, the other is temperature. Now force is a vector, temperature is a scalar. Why? Now let's start with force. Now suppose there are two or more forces acting on a body. Simple. There are two or more forces acting on a body. Is it not important in which direction they are acting? To consider that, if two equal forces act in exactly opposite directions, how will the body move? The body will not move at all. Suppose there's a body and in one direction there is a force of 10 newtons, on the other direction exactly opposite 10 newtons, the body will not move. Now let's take the same two forces, but this time if they act in the same direction, the body will move with both forces added up. So the force might act at different angles also. Here we have taken only opposite or same side. Suppose there are many forces, one force acting this angle, another force acting that angle. The force might act at different angles too, is it not? Definitely by nature, force has both magnitude and direction. You have to keep in mind the direction. Otherwise you can't add them. You can't add them normally. Such quantities are called vectors. Such quantities are called as vectors. Now the other examples of vectors are velocity, momentum, displacement. In each of them, the direction becomes important. We'll see that clearly in later units. Now let us take the scalar temperature. Let us take temperature. In any direction, the temperature remains constant, because there is nothing like direction for you. You look at any direction, the temperature is temperature only. There is nothing like a direction at all for a quantity like temperature. Such quantities where direction is not inherent to the quantity and only magnitude is there, we call scalars. Other examples of scalar quantities are mass. Mass, your actual quantity of matter doesn't matter. There's no direction to that. Distance, the speed, work, energy, etc. So these concepts also and how they work we'll see later. So definitely there are two clear-cut quantities in the physical world. Those quantities which have no direction inherently are called scalars. Those which have direction inherently are vectors. So now the next section is vector algebra. This is not like the ordinary algebra where you add and subtract and multiply. Now since vector quantities have both magnitude and direction, how do we add? Or let's use the word sum up, or let's use the word find out what is called the resultant of two vectors. I'll explain. In real life, suppose we have many forces acting on a body at different angles, Let's say 10 forces are acting at different angles. How do we predict beforehand what the resultant force would be? Really, what would be? Which means in how much it will be and in which direction the body will go. And hence finally, how the body would move. We need to find out the result. 10 forces are acting. Finally, how much force will act on the body and at what angle? They have to be added up. The addition, it cannot be just addition of magnitudes like algebra or arithmetic addition of magnitudes, because direction also is involved. Angles are involved. So we have concepts of vector algebra, and with these concepts, man has discovered invented these wonderful concepts. We can add or sum up vector quantities keeping direction in mind or angles in mind also. We also have very specialized concepts called products, dot product and cross product, some special concepts that we'll see in the later units, and that is the whole of the core concepts of vector algebra. To do all these things, We need some simple and clear definitions first and symbols that we use in vector algebra. In the next section, we will study them, and later we'll know how to add and subtract, and we'll understand dot product and cross product. That is the whole concept of vector algebra. We'll stop here for this unit. Thank you, and we'll meet again in the next unit. Thank you so much.